Top 10 video game music of all time. Here we go. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Wormys Playhouse, and today we're going to be talking about my personal top 10 gaming music of all time, mainly from the retro phase of gaming history. And I know music is very subjective, it all varies from person to person. However, these are my personal favorite retro video game songs. And there are, I think, one or two songs on this list that are a little bit newer, but hey, you know, it's just too good. And it changes from day to day. One day I'll be in love with one video game soundtrack, and then the very next day I'll completely fall in love with an entirely different video game soundtrack. So this list is constantly changing. So I think maybe in the future, in a year from now, I'll revisit this and do another top 10 video game music of all time. But again, this is my personal preference. If yours is different, that's okay. We all have different opinions, so it's okay. But here we go. Number 10, Popful Mail from the Sega CD. This is the Castle Battle.Music. Something about this music, it's very fast-paced and high energy. It has this build-up a little bit going on, but it's very fast-paced. It gets you going. It's got that 16-bit sound. It's a really great song. The soundtrack for Popful Mail is a little bit more of an upbeat, poppy type of soundtrack, but the Castle Battle.Music specifically towards the end, you know you get into the end of the game when you hear this music. It's great stuff. So Popful Mail, Castle Battle. Number 9, Golvellius on the Sega Master System. This music from this video game really brings you back to the day of the bleeps and bloops. It's just got that sound. And back then, they just knew how to really use that music chip to their advantage and just take those bleeps and bloops and just make something really great. All the songs from this game, Golvellius, is really great music, especially the first Cave song. It's just got those bleeps and bloops that just raises as it goes. So Golvellius from the first Cave is my number 9 song. Terranigma. Now this is a video game on an SNES that was only released in Japan. Unfortunately, it never came to the States. However, the game is really well, and the music is beautiful in this game. It just has that certain sound. It's kind of unfair because RPGs in general, they just have an advantage. They have this beautiful sound and mysticness to them. It really pulls you into that world that they created. It makes you really feel like you're playing as this character, that you're playing this role in this game. I really wish that they brought it over to the States, but you can emulate it if you really want to play it. But I do recommend at least listening to the music. It's just so mysterious and beautiful. Terranigma, Light and Darkness is my number 8. Secret of Mana. This was one of my favorite video games on SNES. It was very hard for me to decide between Secret of Mana or Chrono Trigger. Both are fantastic games with fantastic music. However, Secret of Mana, for me personally, just outbeats it a little bit. It just has this certain sound that when you hear it, you know instantly, oh, that's Secret of Mana. It really brings you into that world of that game, especially the song Into the Thick of It. It's the overworld theme song. It's very beautiful. It really knows how to use the 16-bit music music chip. However, it has a certain whistle over everything, or a certain pan flute sound going. It's a really relaxing song. It just works so well with the overworld theme. However, this soundtrack is a little mixed because a few of the songs on this soundtrack are pretty bad, unfortunately, but majority of the songs is just a really beautiful, ominous sound. So Secret of Mana, Into the Thick of It, is my number 7. LandStalker. This is a very great game, one of my favorites on the Sega Genesis, and especially the music in this game, because it just really makes you feel like you're going on an adventure, like you're setting out to go search for an open world of treasure and discoveries. You have your sword in one hand, your shield in the other, and you're just going out for an epic adventure, gonna go fight some monsters. It really gets you that feeling that you're just ready to fight and head out. It's a really upbeat soundtrack, it's really fun sounding, and it gets you pumped up. It's a great soundtrack, a great game. Definitely recommend playing it. Definitely highly recommend listening to it. So the song Treasure Hunter Nigel, that's one of the overworld themes. Particularly towards halfway through the game you start to hear that song. But it is fantastic, so LandStalker is my number 6. Fantasy. All of the Final Fantasy games are really great. They're all masterpieces in their own way. And the music, again, RPGs just have this advantage with the music. Especially Final Fantasy. The music is just really fitting to those games. To the worlds that they created, that music just fits so well. And mainly, Final Fantasy VI, aka Final Fantasy III. And I know I haven't played majority of the Final Fantasy games. I was only able to recently play Final Fantasy VI, aka 3 here in the States. But Final Fantasy VI, specifically Terra, it just has that mystic sound. You can tell that this is going to be a very intense game, that the story is going to be very emotional. It really gets all the feels inside of you. It's a great adventure game, great storytelling game, and the music fits it so well. It really brings the gameplay out of it by listening through this soundtrack. So Terra from Final Fantasy VI is my number 5. I had to pick Phantasy Star for my number 4. It had to beat Final Fantasy. It's just my personal preference. I absolutely adore this series. This was one of the first RPG series that I've ever played. This goes all the way back to the Sega Master System and the Sega Genesis days. And this music, it really has that space adventure music with that distant star space. All the games in this series, Phantasy Star 1, 2, 3, 4, it all has really fitting music. I'd say Phantasy Star 2 is specifically my favorite soundtrack. However, Phantasy Star 3, which is considered the black sheep of the Phantasy Star series, but that opening theme song just really fills you with empowerment. And you know that this is going to be an epic adventure. You really get a sense that this story is going to be close to your heart. It has that sad feeling, yet empowerment. Phantasy Star 3, the opening theme, is my number 4. favorite franchises, Ys. The music from Ys is phenomenal. It really has that adventurous feeling that you're going out to save the world. You really feel strong and you feel like you can conquer the enemy. Every soundtrack for all these games, Ys Othenfeld, Ghana, Ys Origin, Ys 7, Ys Lacrimosa of Dana, but you have to bring it back to the original Ys games. Ys books 1 and 2, specifically Ys Chronicles 1 and 2, Palace of Destruction. That has such phenomenal music. That sound. It's the final dungeon of the game. However, you spend a good portion of the game in that final dungeon. But this song is one of those songs that it turns the tides of the battle. You know when when it's starting to get really difficult, but then all of a sudden you push forward and succeed and the music just changes to your advantage. That's what this song is. That's what majority of these soundtracks feel like. It just makes you feel like you can conquer that world. Ys 1 and 2 Chronicles, Palace of Destruction is number 3. The Legend of Zelda. Of course, this is my number 2 song. I absolutely adore the Legend of Zelda series. There's so many games in this series, and throughout all these games, all the soundtracks are always beautiful. You know it's a Zelda song. No matter what song you pick, it still has that Zelda theme. And you can go throughout all the years of Legend of Zelda. You can pick any one of your favorite games, and that will have such amazing music. And it makes it very difficult to narrow it down and pick which song would be my favorite. But to sum it up, The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, the ocean theme. This song really sets sail. It really gives you that feeling of exploration, that you're just setting out for a nice adventure through an open world of the sea, just sailing away through the wind. It has that beginning of time adventure sound, like you're just starting your adventure, you're setting out to sail this open world. The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, the ocean theme, number 2. Absolutely, without a doubt, Xenoblade Chronicles. This is my favorite game franchise. The way that they built these soundtracks for these games is phenomenal. You really have that open world sound, that exploration sound, the sound of battle, really emotional. They build you up. You can really tell that the composers put a lot of thought and emotion into these songs. But Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Counterattack, hands down the best song on the soundtrack, the best song of the Xenoblade Chronicles franchise. It's packed full of emotion. It really gets that feel inside of you and the courage to fight on, and that nothing will get in your way. Nothing will stand in your way. Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Counterattack is my number 1 song. video game songs. And again, this list will change. But let me know what your favorite songs are from gaming history, whether they're all retro video games, RPGs, or if it's soundtracks from new gaming history. There's no wrong or right opinion here. It's all personal preference of what we each enjoy ourselves. And again, it changes from time to time. So thank you for joining us today for another episode of Wormys Playhouse. And please like, comment, and subscribe. And we'll see you again for another episode. We'll see you then. Bye!